Alright, let's talk about Gargoyles. Fantastic show. I got some problems with the show, but I overall really like this show. It's about 3 seasons long. This is a late 90s show that aired, I don't know what year it came out, but it aired in the 90s in the Disney afternoon block, which, they Dale, DuckTales, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, I think I said Tailspin, but Goof Troop, a lot of that stuff. And out of these shows, this is the most underrated out of all those shows because it is the darkest. If I had to just take a guess why this show was created, is because Warner Brothers came out with Batman the Animated Series. It was a TV cartoon to basically capture the success of the Tim Burton Batman movies, and it didn't work out as well. It didn't work out that well. The Tim Burton Batman movies. But the show Batman Animated Series went on to be a fantastic hit. It actually got a theatrical film, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which failed at the box office, but is still labeled as one of the best Batman movies ever made. Got a couple direct-to-video movies. It just got a Blu-ray release, I think last year or the year before that. It got a sequel series, Batman Beyond. This was a very popular show. Fantastic show, and I'm going to review it at some point. But I feel like what this show is, and I believe I heard this before, that Disney saw the success of Batman the Animated Series, and they said, we need to make a show similar to that for our afternoon block. So they created Gargoyles. And usually with a show based on the success of something else, it wouldn't be as good. But this show was freaking incredible. What this show is about, I'm just going to give you a general synopsis for the first 2 seasons, because it changes in the 3rd season, and I'll talk about why the 3rd season is not as good as the first 2 seasons. This show's about these gargoyles, and they are cursed to be stone after an incident in their past, and now they awaken in the future, present day New York, and they're now protecting New York. They now have decided that that's their goal, and they're also fighting the evil Xanatos and many other villains that pop up throughout the series and stuff. But there's just this clan of gargoyles who are the last few of their kind trying to survive in modern day New York. That's the plot. Now, unlike Batman the Animated Series, Batman the Animated Series had continuity in some episodes, but a lot of the show was just one-off adventures with Batman and his villains. This show is not one-off. This show has continuity, so that means there are events that occur in one episode that flow into the next. And season 1 is a fantastic season. My only problem with season 1 is that the first 5 episodes are bunched together. I believe it's called The Awakening, and this was released as Gargoyles the movie on VHS. So if you ever see that, it's not actually a movie. It was never intended to be a movie. It was just the first 5 episodes stitched together to make a movie on VHS, and they can market it as one and create more sales for the VHS tape. But it really is nothing new. I know a lot of people were tricked by this back in the day, and I don't know why they did it, besides it got more VHS tape sales, but regardless, the show is fantastic, because Goliath here is now a modern day New York with his clan, and it's a lot of them discovering, and there's a lot of themes about racial prejudice and discussions of, are we right to defend these humans? These humans hate us, should we defend them? Should we do this? It's a lot of discussions like that. There's some complex themes throughout the show. One of the saddest characters is Demona. Goliath and the rest of them turned to stone in the past, but Demona was one of the few who did not turn to stone. She thought her whole clan was dead, then in the future she realizes, holy crap, they're alive. So she has suffered in her past, been brutally tortured by humans, has now grown to hate them, and Goliath has now grown to defend them. She feels betrayed, and so she's a character with so much deep motivation from her past and now her future, and she just has a growing hatred for humans and Goliath. She's basically a bigot, but she has a reason for being one. And it's a complex reason. You don't see her as fully wrong or right. So yeah, that storyline is completely well written. Also, Xanatos is an amazing villain throughout most of the series. This guy's a billionaire. He moved this castle from, I believe, Ireland, or wherever the castle was, and he moved it to the top of a building in New York, and it sits up on top of that building, and these gargoyles live there. And they've been portrayed by him in the first few episodes, and they're kind of like, he's a reoccurring villain, constantly coming up with new schemes. He's such a creepy villain. But yeah, he's a fantastic villain. And one of the problems of season 3 is they kind of dropped that. I don't blame them for doing it, though. It probably got tired of writing the same villain over and over again. Especially with some of the things they did with them in season 2, which I'll talk about. But I'm going to wrap up what I'm saying about season 1. Season 1, just fantastic season. Does a great job of setting up the characters. Also, I forgot to mention Lisa Mazza, which is a human character that it recurs in every single episode with the Gargoyles. Fantastic story and character. The only thing I find weird about that character, there's hints at a relationship between Goliath and this human. Which the problem with this is, that car was really loud. But the problem with this is that, she's a human and Goliath is a gargoyle, and so it's just creepy and it's weird, and they don't ever really confirm it. They just keep hinting at it, which is weird. I don't like it. But on to season 2. Season 2 has way too many episodes. That first off, it has so many episodes that they had to release them on 2 different DVD sets. So it was season 2, volume 1, and season 2, volume 2. Season 1, I believe, is about 13 episodes. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, but that's about somewhere in there. And I think there's like 30 episodes in season 2, and a lot of them are not, kind of just portray what the to kind of destroy what the show is. The show is about these villains in New York, but there's a lot of stories throughout season 2 of Goliath and this new character, Angela, who we find out is Demona and Goliath's daughter. And it's a lot of these characters, and her, Goliath, and Elisa traveling through various different world locations to get back to New York to the rest of the clan. But it's like they went on this thing because I don't remember why they went on this, but quest or whatever. But it was like, why did you? It ruins what the show is. And I get they want to introduce some more Gargoyles character, but the problem is season 3 goes back to 13 episodes, and it does not wrap up the story properly or any of the characters. But it's a lot of it's a lot of this character, right? You can't wrap up the story with Demona because you can't just suddenly make her not racist anymore against humans and Goliath. You just suddenly can't do that. You just can't. So it seemed like they set up more to come with that character in Demona, and it didn't come to fruition because the show was canceled. I think they knew it was going to be canceled. That's why they went back to 13 episodes in season 3, but it just doesn't work out. Also, they set up a love triangle between Brooklyn and Broadway that's only appeared in 2 episodes. Does not go anywhere. In fact, there's an episode where I was watching, and before the episode started, I knew what the episode was about. I was like, okay, so this is about Goliath's daughter, going out to see her mother, and it should be like Broadway tries to be supportive and help her since he cares about her. It would have been a little out of character, but since, that would make more sense though at the same time. So I don't know why they didn't do that, and it was dumb. I didn't like that story. It didn't go nowhere. And then season 3, I mentioned that Xanatos is not the main villain because, in season 2 he gets married to one of the villains of the Pact, which is another group of characters. They don't really matter. They don't appear that often. They're reoccurring characters in season 1 and 2, but they're not in season 3, so it doesn't really matter. But he marries the Fox, the main female of the group, and he has a child with her, and yeah, that's an interesting development. And by the end of the season, they kind of just work it out. I think they were tired of having the characters move around. Go here, you go there. Like, they lived in the clock tower for a while. They lived in the castle, then they went back to living in the castle, then went back to the clock tower. Then they were looking for a new place to live. There was a lot of that. And I think the writers got sick of that. So, fine, Xanatos is just okay now. He's not evil anymore. Which is, okay, it's fine. But the problem is the villains that they replaced him for is a group of terrorists that are just racist bigots for no reason. They have no reason to hate our gargoyles. They don't have any motivation. What they should have done is they should have written it as, these are some of the characters that were in the background of one of the gargoyles stopping a villain or whatever, and one of them saw this and was injured somehow, and now he hates the gargoyles, so now we start an entire group of terrorists to kill them. Because this isn't just we hate them, we're trying to get them arrested or whatever. No, these people want to murder them, smash them into pieces. I mean, there was one point where one of them captured the clan, hypnotized Goliath into almost killing the President of the United States. You can't just throw that out there and not really give real motivation for these characters to really hate these gargoyles. It's not a good story. I don't like that story. It doesn't work out that well, and it doesn't wrap up the story well, and by the end of the season, everyone's just suddenly not racist anymore because they don't know how to wrap that up. That's a problem when you're doing this type of story in a kid's show about racism. It's like a theme. You can't say, hey, these people are racist, but it's a metaphor for racism that a kid can understand. But the problem is that you can't you want to wrap it up as a story in a kid's show, but you can't wrap it up because it's racism. Racism is still a problem that goes on today and hasn't been wrapped up. It's not a thing that's disappeared all of a sudden. It is not as bad as it used to be, but it's still an ongoing problem to this day. It's been going on for hundreds of years, So, yeah, the writing there just does not work out that well. And Star vs. Force of Evil also tried to do that. Oh, no. We're suddenly not racist anymore. And it just does not work out well. I don't like it. Don't try to bullcrap your way through writing this. If you're going to use a metaphor, do it like the X-Men. Don't make it clear, but make it enough that you could see it there, but also you could watch it and just enjoy it as a fun superhero thing. And it's not like there's, it doesn't matter about the racism thing. It's just a thing that you can kind of draw some parallels to. Some X-Men stories is more clear, but in the cartoon, and in the movies. But yeah, I didn't think the story here worked out all that well. But I still like this show. It is a really good show, and you should watch it. It's probably the best Disney cartoon besides Gravity Falls, which there's no cartoon that Disney will ever make that will be better than Gravity Falls. I'm sorry, it's not happening. Amphibia's pretty great too. I guess third, but it's still pretty good for what it is. The reason I say Amphibia is because Amphibia, even the lame, okay episodes, a lot of those are still pretty funny, and I enjoy watching those. A lot of filler episodes and some shows don't work out that way. So I think that show is really good for what that show is. I think this is a fantastic show, and you should check it out. Fantastic. I know I complained about it a lot, but overall, it's still a great show. I just wish it had a stronger ending, had a stronger villain for the ending, and it worked out a little bit better. But it's alright. It turned out okay. And overall, the show's freaking great. So, yeah, I've always kind of wanted to see a movie about Gargoyles. Let me know if you'd rather see a series continuation, and if you want to see it in live action, animated form. I love an animated series continuation, but that's not going to happen. If my best bet is that Disney would do a live action film, premiered on Disney Plus or in a theater. Most likely Disney Plus, because that's kind of where the show would be. It's pretty popular there right now. But you know, I don't know. That's what I feel about it. I really like this show though, so we'll see what happens in the future with this Gargoyles thing. I really want more Gargoyles though, and we just don't have enough of this fantastic show.